Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Say Their Name Monuments July Town Hall. My name is Dr. Ashley McKenzie Smith, and I am the founder of Say Their Name Monuments. And I'm also the mother of Jalen McKenzie, killed by Memphis, Tennessee during a pretextual traffic stop on December 16th, 2022. I want to thank everyone, every family member, every survivor, every advocate, community leader, and supporter for joining us tonight. Our mission is simple but powerful. Every name, every story, never forgotten. As Say Their Name Monuments, we believe every family deserves answers, every victim deserves to be remembered, and every community deserves the knowledge needed to advocate for justice. Our town halls were created to provide families with knowledge, practical tools, emotional support, and a safe space to ask questions. So, tonight's topic, I'm really excited. I am a criminal justice major. Most people don't know. So, I love forensics, I love the evidence part. Unfortunately, I did not think that I would be here in this place doing this work because of my son. I thought that my education would have taken me to these places, but I decided not to do anything in criminal justice and I decided to do something totally different. But now I'm back. So I love learning about evidence. I love talking about evidence. I love everything forensics. So understanding the evidence is the topic. What families need to know. After a loved one killed, seriously injured, or harmed, families are often expected to understand complicated medical, legal, investigative, and forensic information while they're still grieving. Many families do not know what evidence exists, who poses it, how to request it, or how quickly some evidence can even disappear. So tonight we're going to go and we're going to discuss how families can identify it. We're going to obtain how you can obtain it, protect it, organize it, understand evidence as you fight for the truth in your loved one's case. So before we begin, I just want everybody to understand this is our disclaimer. This is just for educational information purposes. We are not lawyers. We will not be giving legal advice or anything like that. But if you do need an attorney or you need more of a specialist in there, please reach out and we can forward you to someone that can actually help. All right. So, while I've said all of that good stuff, I am honored to be here with two incredible mothers joining us
Mhm.
this evening. These women have turned unimaginable pain into a purpose and have spent years of advocating for justice. One thing I like about tonight is that we have one mother that is police violence and then we have one that's gun violence. So now as we're talking about all this evidence and things like that, you can get it from two sides because they can be different. They can be similar in some cases, but a lot of times they're very different on how you obtain it or what you're looking at. All right. So the opening question. Oh, wait. Wait, let me they need to introduce themselves first. I'm ready to jump right into it. I want to thank our speakers. I want to welcome Monty Benjamin and Tabitha Turner. Now, Tabitha, do you want us to call you Tammy or Tabitha?
Tabitha is my legal name. Tammy is just what I go by.
Okay, so we're gonna call you Tabitha. All right. So Monty, if you would go ahead and begin to introduce yourself, tell us about your son, share what's keeping you fighting and what has kept you fighting all these years.
Okay. Well, my son name was Javis Benjamin, and he was killed January 18th, 2013. At the time that he was killed, there was a lot of falsehoods and false narratives that we had to fight through in the midst of all of what went down and everything. And then not only that, my whole purpose was to clear his character, to make it very known to the public that it was nothing of what the police was reporting as well as the news stations. I'm a fellow for Mothers Against Police Brutality. I also work with the Astor Project. I'm a parent that's participating with the Astor Project. And then I'm also partnering with the Axon company that actually develop and create tasers and body cameras as well as dash cameras. And I have been in the last year working with them where they have designed a new type of taser and body cam that will hold the officers accountable, even though the system will not. So that bill that we've been supporting, it's a group of mothers from all over the United States, and we went to the Judiciary Committee, we went to the Ways and Means in DC, and now it's in the Senate. And then our next step, hopefully, that they will be signing it off as a bill. The bill is called the HR 2189 de-escalation. De-escalation. I'm a little nervous, but again, that is pretty much what my energy has been in. Outside of that, I had to take a hiatus because I'm actually going through some medical issues. And so far, so good by the grace of God, because I always said, if it's the last breath, I'm going to always fight for justice, not only for my child, but for other kids as well. And the main thing that I really love about this new mechanism that they have with the Axon Corporation, it now details the location, longitude, and everything. Anytime an officer pull his gun or his taser, it's going to automatically dock to the department. They cannot alter it. They cannot do anything to it. And they have to turn it in every day, and they have to be justified. So with that being said, if they were to continuously, repeatedly harass someone, and they do it like so many times within a week's time, they will be reprimanded. And then from there, they can actually be terminated. To me, it's a better way of holding them accountable. And also the main thing that I love, because of what happened to my son's case, they cannot alter it. And it stays on the entire time that they are on duty. They can't turn it off. They can't do anything to it. And at the end of the day, they have to turn it in. So that's what I have been affiliated with myself as to getting that bill passed because of all the things that happened with my son's case. So I'll pass it to
Awesome. And we're going to talk a little bit about that when we get into the body camera portion, because I'm going to talk about Jalen's case a little bit, not a whole lot because we are in litigation, but just a little bit on why that's really, really important and why I wish we would have had that. So Tabitha, tell us about yourself, tell us about your baby, and tell us what's got you keep going in the movement. What you been up to?
My name is Tabitha Turner, but everybody calls me Tammy Sweat. My son was murdered on September the 13th, 2025. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I would be in a situation to where I would have to fight the judicial system to get justice for my son. It's a complicated case. We're dealing with a law enforcement that allegedly allegedly has mishandled other cases. I was not going to let my son be one of those cases, one of those statistics. Um, I'm going to fight for my son until I take my last breath.
Hello.
It gets stressful, it gets tiresome, it gets I'm angry. I'm all stages of grief, but at the end of the day, that's still my baby. Um, if for 1 minute I thought that he was being a menace to society, I wouldn't fight as hard as I do. That's not him, and they're not going to spin that narrative on him. So it's been a rough road trying to clear his name, get justice for him. And there was 4 to 5 Black males, 2 Black females that were involved. Only 2 of the people, of all the people, got tampered with physical evidence. They shot over 70 times. My son did shoot twice. but my son stayed within his territory. They crossed over into his territory. They shot him in the back of the head, and they get to claim stand your ground.
I don't know why I thought your baby was a gun violence case. I don't know. I apologize.
Yes.
I don't know why. I don't know. Oh my goodness, because I do remember in his story now after you telling me it, but I probably was looking at two cases at the same time. Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you why I think. Thank you, ladies, for introducing yourselves and for telling us about your stories. Um, I'm a little emotional now after hearing that. But one of the reasons why I think the bill, Monty, we thank you for everything you're doing. I mean, we thank you just for. I thank you personally. I thank you for Say They Name Monuments, because whenever we need you, you're there. It don't matter where we are, you're always there. Anytime, I reach out to you, you don't mind showing up, and not only just showing up, but working too. Because every time we have something, we all gotta work. So I thank you for that as well, because you never complain or say this girl and her big dreams or her big old visions. Like, you never say that. You just like, okay, well, what do I need to do? Um, and it's okay sometimes to say that, because sometimes my visions be real big. But anyway, I am so grateful for the new bill that you guys are working on, and the whole body camera thing. And the reason why is because my son, Jalen McKenzie, one of the issues that we had with him was that the police officer cut his body camera off right after roll call. So before he actually went on duty that night, his body camera was off, and he never cut it back on until after the incident happened. So we don't have footage, so they say. We don't have body camera footage from the actual officer that shot Jalen, but we do have body camera footage from his partner, which is very little, because he decided he wants to fall after running. He wants to fall and trip, and that, so we don't really get to see much. We just hear. But we do see Jalen running. We never see a gun in his hand. I know allegedly they said when he got out the car that he had an AR. And it's for you guys to look for yourself and say what you think it is. We don't think it's an AR. It doesn't look like an AR. But hey, that's for the jury. That's for the courts to decide. So I'm not gonna even get into that piece. But you don't see Jalen shoot at the officer at any time. So those are things that we've been questioning, and if we would have had a body camera that wouldn't have been able to be cut off, then it would have been an open and shut situation. There wouldn't be a who did what and who didn't do what. And it's so unfortunate that we have to try to make these things mandatory, because as an officer you should want to protect yourself as well by keeping the body camera on. And I know as a mother, I don't want my sons, if my son did something he wasn't supposed to do, then I want you to hold him responsible for it.
Responsible.
But I don't want you to be doing things to him and then think you can get away with it either. So at the same time, I expect whatever you expect from my son, I'm expecting from you guys as well. So that's why it's really important that we get these officers, these body cameras, these tasers, these things that can also protect our community, can also protect them as well, because they need to go home to their families. So I think that's a pretty fair deal. So, all right. So let's talk about this. Monty, when did you receive the first body camera footage? And did that footage answer any of your questions, or did it create more questions?
Uh, when I first got Javis the dash cam video, it clarified a whole lot of things. It clarified the difference in the false narrative, because it was first reported that he assaulted the officer and that he stolen a car. Then the next thing from being that we saw the dash cam video, luckily, and I feel like it was God sent, because I was able to see it during the grand jury hearing. And during the grand jury hearing, it had all the aspects. It had 6 different views. It had everything in the capacity of what happened, whereas nothing of what the officer reported and put in his police report. And then I'm also glad that I have copies of the originals and everything involved in that. But it helped me and my family to find out that Javis wasn't nowhere near the officer. He was actually in an auto accident, and he hit this woman. And when he hit her, he spent off and hit a telephone pole, where the dash cam video, the body cam video, they actually, when we got ready to go to court, they spliced all of that out. They only showed him, and they showed where he, was turning to one side, and he kept saying, "Do y'all see what he trying to do to me?" It was a neighbor in the neighborhood, because when he hit the telephone pole, the power went out, and so people started coming out of their homes, and so they was yelling at the woman to tell her to get back in her car. So as he turned to the neighbor, the people in the community, that's when Officer Thomas then shot him in his heart and in his stomach, and then he dropped. So from there, that was from the grand jury. But when we got ready to go through the necessary requirements, far as, and I guess your question was, when did I get to see it? I got to see it past the 2-year statute of limitation. It was 28 months when I actually got to see the dash cam video, and that's when we found out nothing of what the officer reported was true. So I'm sharing that part as well, because what we saw during the grand jury hearing, when we got ready to go into discovery, which they never allowed us to do so, what they did was constantly told us we didn't see what we thought we saw. So gave them the option to alter the dash cam video. And that's why I'm so passionate about this new bill with the Axon company, because when we went to the grand jury, it had the timestamps. My sister, my son, and all of us, we were there to view it during the grand jury hearing. My sister wrote notes of what happened at what time based on the Axon stamp in the corner of the actual recording. My son, who's an artist, he pretty much during the grand jury hearing drew pictures of who was sitting where as far as the jurors and their, some of their responses and everything. So then actually when we got ready to go to the court stage of it, that's when they made me and all of my family members who saw the original do an affidavit, where we spent a Saturday writing down everything that we saw 29 months ago, stating that we didn't see what we thought we saw. So in the midst of that, of what they were saying that we didn't see what we thought we saw, that's when we went before the grand jury, and the grand jury strongly advised immediately that he needed to be criminally charged. But the former DA, which was Robert James, who then waited a year later and allowed, then he a year later made the shooting justified, along with the city of Avondale. They actually cited qualified immunity, stating that in the state of Georgia, an officer only has 2 seconds to fear for his life. Yet he held a 9mm Glock, and Javis had his hands. He was in a surrendering stance. So though we saw all of that during the grand jury hearing, when we got ready to go through the court system, that's when we had to do affidavits, every last one of my family members who saw the original ones. So we've been going backwards and forth with the initial qualified immunity, whereas 6 months after the district attorney overturned it, he then, the city manager then promoted this guy from sergeant to chief. So he was over his own investigation. So that was another thing that we had to deal with. So after dealing with that part of it, after going to the appellate court and going through the wrongful death, the civil court, that's when I came in communication with Nakima Levy Armstrong out of Minnesota, along with an attorney through the Thurgood Marshall Legal Defense Fund. They helped me to compile a Cetera Carta where I can apply for. I actually filed to the Supreme Court, so we were able to present it where I got a waiver and I didn't have to pay to get those books slating the different impacts or the different cases that apply to his case. We were able to get the waiver, and from there, that's when the Supreme Court basically said that they was going to go ahead and go along with what the court system said from out of Avondale and DeKalb County. So with that put, how would you say, I can also say that I too, Ashley, was a criminal justice major, and my thing was forensic science as well. I'm a Quincy kid back from my day and time, and I always wanted to know how certain things are. So from there, after all of what happened to him, I decided to go in another different direction as far as that is concerned. But my biggest thing is now all of the energy that I'm putting behind getting better from my sickness, as well as supporting this bill. I really wanted to go through because then it'll prevent other kids, other situations. And then not only that, the officers do not have a opportunity to turn it off. It is on the whole time that they on their shift. If they pull their gun out, it will send a notification to their base and say the longitude, latitude, or wherever they standing at. So if they were to go through a neighborhood and constantly harass people, it will be documented based on that, and they can't change it. And because with my son case, they took the whole Exxon stamp off, the time stamp, everything. They took everything off of it, whereas all I had basically from what they sent back to me is I have yet, and it's been 13 years, to receive the original dash cam video. And I will say also, it was the GBI that really helped me kind of move forward with a lot of the stuff that I was doing, because when it actually happened, it was an agent, Robert Stanley, who told me, he said, ma'am, I advise you, I can't discuss the case. He said, but I suggest strongly that you get all 3 copies, DeKalb County, Avondale Estate, and the GBI. The GBI finished their investigation March of that year, whereas Robert James didn't finish his until 28 months later. So again, that's what's been putting the fire under me as far as this bill, because now to know that they can't alter it, they can't, crop out the timestamps or anything, because that was the most important thing dealing with Javis' case. Had we not seen the original one, we would have never known that he was, in that surrendering stance saying, do y'all see what he tried to do to me? Where they cropped the old lady, we could see her sitting in the window. She saw the whole thing. The woman he collided with, she was getting out of her car, and the people in the community kept telling her to get back in her car. And then when we went before the grand jury, one of the witnesses recanted his story, said that no, that young man did not hit that officer. That did not happen the way that they was coercing them. And it was the ADA, the assistant DA, who kept saying, but you said, she was trying to look for his affidavit for when they questioned him. And he still kept saying, again, that's not what happened from where I stood. That did not happen. Whereas later on, through an interview with Savannah Levin, most of the people who she did speak with said that that young man shouldn't have died the way that he did. But at the end of the day, what can I do when you got the media? It was Tom Jones, who I don't care very much for, who interviewed me and my daughter and my son for like an hour or two. Then he gets on the news pretty much to say that my son was a suspect in a stolen car, whatever it was, he said, and that wasn't even the case either. So it was like the media needs to be held accountable, just like the officer does, because all they do is hype the cases up for the officer as well as the district attorney. So that's pretty much the situation with why I'm so driven about this dash cam, body cam video, because it can't bring my son back, but it can prevent other people as well. And then also with the technology that goes along with it as well, they can no longer tell that lie that their life is in danger, because the new taser, they can be 45 feet away from a person and they can only go for the knees because it's got a laser. If they go above the thigh area, that's another disciplinary action as well when it comes to the use of that as well. So I'm strongly supportive of it. And actually, it's been kind of a blessing in some degree, because it's like a lot of answered prayers through all of what I've been going through. So yeah.
Yeah. I just was thinking about Jalen's case, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just, I know when we saw the video for Jalen, it was not what we saw that they actually aired to the public. It was
Mm-hmm.
it was different. And
Yes.
I tell people it was like 90% of a difference. I can understand maybe 10%, but
Yeah.
the it was so different. There's so many missing pieces. We literally looked at the timestamps and was watching it go, and then we see it skip.
Yep.
We haven't got the original, or I should say, unredacted versions of the body camera footage. And that's really disappointing, because I know for sure that a lot of my other questions that I have, because I knew I had some questions when I saw the little snippet that you gave me that was not the actual video. I
Mm-hmm.
had gave me more questions. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
now when I get the other pieces, what else am I gonna be asking, or how am I gonna feel emotionally about it? Because y'all keep playing games with me, and I have to laugh about it so that I don't get so mad about it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, you have to, like, do y'all
True.
really think that we are just this? You can't think that we're
Mm-hmm.
just this dumb, or
Mm-hmm.
just ignorant to what you guys are doing behind the scenes. It's very
Mm-hmm.
obvious. And then
Yes.
it's crazy because you see it on TV, but you never think that it'll
It just
happen to
happened to
you.
you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm like, I feel like I'm living a TV show right now, and I'm just waiting for the next chapter, the next episode. What's gonna be on the next episode? That's what my life feels like right now. But for the same question for you, Tabitha, about the body camera footage in your case, tell us a little bit about that.
We can't get anything basically. We did eventually get the body cam, but it's redacted.
Mm.
I have not watched it because in the very beginning of when the situation happened with my son, I think it was probably a week and some days after he was murdered. The sheriff called my husband and I and my brother into the office to show us the surveillance. The surveillance came from the neighbor who lived directly next door, but the shooting happened across the street.
Mm.
So on that uh, video that he showed us, and he told us when we were in there, you can't you can't use your phone to record this. I believed him because at the scene, the day of it happening, he told me that he knew who they were and that he were going to get them and prosecute them. So even when we went in, I'm still thinking, okay, you know who they are, you're going to prosecute them. So in my mind, I didn't think to say, okay, let me record anyway. But I remember like it happened yesterday. So that happened September 13th when my son was murdered. So I'm going to say September the 20th is when he called us in. It was my brother, my husband. And what I saw that day, I saw the neighbor outside with her child that was standing in front of her. She had the gun in her hand and she was on the cell phone.
Mm.
She goes back into the house. I see my son come out the house. He throws his hands up in the air like, what are you doing? That's what I heard is, what are you doing? My son immediately goes back inside. So I'm thinking whatever he saw across the street intimidated him for
Mhm.
him to go back inside to come back out with his gun. They're arguing, and at this moment I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting ready to see my son being murdered. My son turns to go inside, and he turns to go inside because my granddaughter, his daughter, was coming out the door. Now, mind you, gunfire is coming
Mm.
from all directions. He turns to push her in the door, and when he do, that's when I see him go down.
Mm.
It got him in the back of the head. That's what I saw. Um, I'm making noise after. Well, no, let me fast forward because I'm calling them. Why haven't anybody been arrested? This is afterwards. Why haven't anyone been arrested? So I'm talking to the detective, and he was like, I'm typing up page 2. I'm typing up page 5. I'm typing up page 7. And then finally he got upset with me and was like, I'm working on a rape case too. So I had a few choice words with him in his rape case. And I was like, I feel sorry for this woman who's been raped. I feel sorry for her parents, but this is a homicide. This is a murder. Um, I think you need to, prioritize what you're doing. So he got mad at me. Now, the communication, the DA, the Commonwealth, we live in Kentucky, so it's the Commonwealth attorney. So the Commonwealth attorney and the sheriff, because the sheriff is the one who was doing the investigation. I thought sheriffs just push paperwork. I didn't know they detectives too. But anyway, um, they're ping ponging us back and forth,
Mm.
back and forth. They're throwing one another under the bus. So um, we're asking for documents. Well, they take it before they go to the grand jury. The Commonwealth attorney calls us into her office so she can explain that they're not going to seek murder charges. They told me that due to the witness, Tyreek shot first. So they had me believing that Tyreek shot first. And I accepted that. But this happened on a Saturday, summer, in a residential neighborhood. They shot up occupied dwelling, they shot up leasing office, um, get them for wanton endangerment or attempted murder. So I'm pushing for this now. I've accepted that I can't get murder, but I want this for my grandchildren, their mother, and other residents.
Mhm.
She calls us in and she tells us, she gives us 4 sheets of paper, and there's a paragraph on each sheet. She tells me and my family to read this. My husband was like, I'm not reading that. You're going to tell me what you're going to do in the grand jury. So she proceeds on to say, what she was going to present to them. And she's telling me that there's 3,000 pages of documents and there's hours out. She said hours 4 times. So when you said that, I'm assuming that's 4 hours because you said it 4 times and you said it multiple times. So they're going to present that to the grand jury. At that time, we only thought that it was 3 people and one girl. So she said it was two. And my sister-in-law was sitting behind me, and she said, well, what about the third person? The DA, well, the Commonwealth attorney turned towards us and said, I don't know nothing about a third person. What are you talking about? So the next day, she takes it to the grand jury. I'm still thinking that you're going to push for wanton endangerment. You're going to push for reckless homicide. You're going to push for attempted murder. She
Mhm.
calls me to tell me that the grand jury only indicted 2 with tampering with physical evidence. I said, you got to be kidding me. So then that's when I had made a video about what happened. because I had stayed quiet the entire time because I'm believing in this justice system that they're going to give my son justice. So I make a video
You
and
sound like me. You
im-
sound
Mhm.
like me. That's what I did too. I really
immediately,
did. I did. I really should. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to let people understand. Initially, until you start really seeing the pieces not come together,
Mhm.
you're really gonna think that the justice system is gonna have your
your
back,
back.
because they told me that I didn't need to come to Memphis because I couldn't view the body. Instead, you was covering up my son's murder.
Mhm.
I didn't even get to identify my son.
I didn't either. Not until he
I
got to
didn't.
Georgia. He had to
I,
come to Georgia. He had to come.
Mhm.
Let me tell you, I told the funeral home because I was so tired of having saying, okay, well, can his dad go identify the body? Because I wanted my son. You know, at this point,
Mhm.
y'all playing games with me. I ain't got time for all this. Just give me my
Mhm.
kid and I'll deal with my son's body. And nope, we can't let him identify the body. I said, well, can I come identify the body? Nope, nobody can. I come. I said, you know what? I called the funeral home. I said, go get my child. Go,
Mm.
go,
I didn't see
go
my
get my child.
I
And
didn't see mine
Jalen was
and
done in 24 hours.
I
I
didn't see
didn't
my
get to.
son until the day of the funeral.
I
Uh,
didn't see mine until because it happened on Martin Luther King weekend. So the medical examiner said the office was closed.
well,
But
yeah.
what he did
Mm.
was he explained to me. He said he's a separate entity from the police department as well as the judicial system. So what he told me was he called me that Sunday and he asked me to have somebody with me. So my sister and my son went with me. And what he did was took a picture of my son from his chin to his forehead. And he had me to go come up there because they didn't want me to identify him. But when I went up there, he took a picture and we went in there and that's when we saw it. And then, at the same time, me having to be strong for my sister as well as myself. Yeah, that was the hardest part. But the
Oh,
funeral
oh.
home didn't get his body until what, Wednesday of that week.
My son was still on the scene when my husband and I arrived. So was
Mm.
there for 6 hours. So I'm assuming that either my brother or my grandchildren's mother, Ty's fiance, had identified him. I didn't even know he was still there until the coroner came to me and said, we're ready to remove your son's body. We're going to take him to Louisville for an autopsy. Say what? He's
Mhm.
been here for 6 hours. We've been here for an hour and he's still on the scene. So that's why I never questioned about who identified him. Well, later on, come to find out that it was an ex family member and the sheriff texting one another. And that's how my son was identified. When the
Mm.
sheriff got there, they didn't even know who my son was. He had never been in the system. My son has never been arrested, never went to jail, never had any dealings with the law before. So they didn't even know who he was. But when I found out that tampering with physical evidence, I was not settling for that. No.
Yeah.
So I made a Facebook post. My Facebook post went viral, and the people who were there reached out to me and says, "No, that's not what happened. That's not
Mhm.
what happened. That's not what happened. Tyreek did not shoot first. They and I was like, and then that's when I had to put my investigation hat on
Yep.
and try to solve my son's murder.
Mhm.
Oh, we hear that so often, how we
Yes.
become our children's first investigators.
Mhm.
And it's just so sad. It's just so sad because I know
I'm a
I was Jalen.
journalist. I'm a journalist.
Everything.
I'm a reporter.
Yep,
I'm
yep.
a lawyer. I'm a judge. I'm a private eye. I'm
You a
a
paralegal. You
paralegal.
Yep.
don't went over
All
autopsies,
this.
all type
Mhm.
of discoveries, all type
Yes.
of reports. Cause I
Yep.
remember when I got the stuff and I started compiling everything in a binder. So I love, like I said, I love forensic. I love law.
Me
So
too.
it was interesting for me because now I'm actually looking at a real case. You know,
Mhm.
not that I want to look at my son's case,
Son's case.
but who better to look at the case than me? because I'm not finna miss nothing because I
Mhm.
want to know exactly what happened and I have some questions. So I'm sitting there, I'm printing everything out and I'm putting them all in binders. And I'm like, oh shoot, okay, this says this is 300 pages. This is this many pages.
Mhm.
And I will say that it took maybe a month for me to really go through it and really be able to digest it,
Mhm.
because it was so much to just retain. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Some
Just
things
to
were
hear and listen to things. I mean, I had to listen to the 911 calls. I had to
I,
listen to
yeah,
the
and you got to read the
gunshots. I have
transcripts and
to,
all that to make
well,
sure
you
all
know
that
what?
matching. Yeah,
They will not give us
yeah.
we asked for the grand
Mm.
jury transcript. She told us that she is custodian over those transcripts and we need to get an attorney to get those documents. We
Mhm.
got it. Well, I went through 10 attorneys, and when they found out who they were going to be dealing with,
Yep.
they said no.
Mhm.
They did not want to deal with Warren County, Bowling Green, Kentucky. Said no. So my husband and I had to travel out of
Yeah,
state to
yeah,
obtain an attorney.
yep.
And when this attorney is trying to get in contact with the Commonwealth attorney, she
Mhm.
refuses to answer her calls. She refuses to answer her emails,
Mhm.
and she refuses to turn over all documents that we have requested.
Yeah, that sounds like
Mhm.
a lot of our cases.
Yep.
A
It's
lot of them.
definitely.
It's the same playbook. That's what's
Mhm.
so crazy about it is that if you listen to a good 85%, everybody's got the same story. It's
Mhm.
the same exact missing pieces, the same exact questionable pieces. It's the same playbook from everybody. It don't matter what state you in. It don't
Yep.
matter. It's the same
Yep.
playbook.
So when you're talking about the chopped and the sliced video, well, my husband and the sheriff well, one of the sheriffs that arrived on the scene, the first sheriff that arrived on the scene, did not secure my son's scene for 8 minutes. It just left it. People just walking around and
Mm.
taking pictures of my son, videoing it.
Mm.
He didn't secure the scene. It took the head sheriff 48 minutes to arrive on the scene. Now, mind you, Bowling Green is not that big. You can circle Bowling Green twice in 20 minutes.
Oh wow.
So, where were you in 48 minutes? It took you 48 minutes to get there. So, the head sheriff was terminated for underhanded cases or involvements and other things. And my son's case was one of them, along
Mhm.
with other things that caused him to be terminated. So the sheriff and my husband was going back and forth, on text message. And so the sheriff got mad at my husband and said, you know what? I'm just going to release that video and let the citizens of Bowling Green know. So we was like, release it,
Yeah.
please, because I begged you to give me news coverage. And when I did do my interview, it was a halt to my interview until he was able to do his interview. So they
Mm.
put his out before
Yep.
mine.
Mhm.
But eventually he went ahead and released that chopped up, put together, sliced up video. But what you failed to realize, or whoever decided to make this video, you put morning with night or night with morning. My son had on a tank top, a white shirt, a blue shirt, black shorts, and you made it look like it happened all in one day.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh, that was
Yeah.
real bad.
Yeah.
That
That's
was
true though.
horrible.
So I'm glad you
Horrible.
did. I'm glad because it lets me know that
Yeah.
you're negligent in what you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. See, I had to watch Jalen's video so many times because there was so many things. First, Jalen's was super dark. Like it was so dark. It was nighttime. There was not that much light. So I'm trying to look at everything, make sure I'm not missing nothing. I'm like, okay, I see him go this way. Okay, looking at his clothes because one of the things they said was Jalen shot at the officer and the officer returned fire, killing him. So that's the narrative behind Jalen's. Um, but we don't see Jalen shoot. We don't see Jalen pull out a gun. We don't see him do anything. And so one of the reasons why the DA said they wouldn't press charges because they couldn't tell who shot first. But you still can't show me where he shot. And you still haven't given us a gunshot residue after almost 4 years.
Yep.
They didn't even do one on them.
Mm-hmm.
And these,
Come on now.
he told us that they crossed the state line. So they came from Tennessee to come there. But he said they put a part of his interview, confession rather. First, he said he didn't know my son. Now I'm talking about one of the people who's involved in Ty's murder. First, he said he didn't know him. Then he said that, yeah, I've seen him before. I seen him when I would take the trash out. Then he said we were coming there for a family gathering. Who comes to a family gathering with multiple weapons? You came there with the intent to take my son out.
For something to happen, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. It's a complicated situation, but at the end of the day, my son died and someone needs to be held accountable.
Yes, most definitely. But so while we're talking about that, I just want to kind of piggyback on this. I got this question. How did you emotionally prepare to watch the video? Because I've heard that some people can't watch the video. So like they haven't even seen their loved ones' body camera footage or dash camera or survey or anything because they just can't watch it.
I didn't know when we were going down to the sheriff's department that that's what he was going to show me. So prior to that, I'm thinking we're just going down there to talk about them making an arrest. That's what I see on TV. That's what I see on First 48. You bring the family in, you talk about, hey, we made an arrest. That's what I went in thinking, not knowing that he's going to show me video of my son's last moment. Now, as far as the video, the cam, the body cam, I haven't bought myself to watch it, but I've had two family members, my two cousins, that did watch it, and they said it's redacted. I don't know if I will ever be able to actually see that.
I know with myself, we were called to come in to look at it, and that was before the grand jury hearing. It was the same week. Everything was done that same week. And so my daughter, son, my sisters, all three of them, and I stayed outside because I wasn't really mentally ready to deal with, because my thing was, did he cry out? Did he moan or suffer or something other like that? So I didn't want to see it. But it wasn't until we went before the grand jury hearing, because they allowed me to give a 10-minute impact statement on the behalf of my son and everything. And that's when I initially see it. And if only I can make like you were saying earlier, I could make a movie of the grand jury and how they were acting out like, wait a minute, because the officer lied and said that my son was going 120 miles an hour. So I guess there was the foreman, and she said, wait a minute, Kensington and Memorial, ain't no way in the world that kid could have been going. And she said, well, y'all might as well lock me up today, because I done ran many lights, because he initially ran a red light at that intersection right there. And so with all of that being said and whatnot, it was like I was kind of forced to see it when we went to the grand jury hearing. And then having those jurors question, and you should have saw how that assistant DA she was just grabbing at all kind of papers, because they was questioning her. Not only did they transported him to, at that time it was DeKalb Medical over there on Hillendale, but they transported my son all the way to Grady Hospital, which is about a good 30 to 45 minutes. And then yet he wanted to say that Javis assaulted him. Now he got a bulletproof vest, but in his report, he got scratches on his chest from Javis fighting him, which none of that was in the video from the body cam as well as the dash cam video. So in the midst of all of that, the jurors had so many questions, but it was like the assistant DA who Robert James stood outside, and every now and then she would go out and I guess ask questions or whatever you want to call it. Because there was one time when one of the jurors asked a question, and I said, Jesus, like that. So they told me if I get any louder, that I would have to leave the room. And so I was like, y'all in here and, in front of this, whereas with those witnesses, when they realized that when they got sworn in, that they would possibly be held accountable, that's when the story started switching, where they were saying that, no, that didn't happen to that young man. That young man didn't do such and such. And so they was like frantic far as that. But when it came to actually seeing it, it took my daughter, who saw it before the grand jury hearing, to tell me that she said, Mom, I think you can, she said, she was telling me that I would be all right to see it. And then once I saw it from the grand jury hearing, I was fine. But then I have to be very honest, I was beyond and above. Totally, how would you say, very colorful language when they posted what they posted on the news. And I'm like, but wait a minute. They even got one hand down, one hand up. It was so many alterations that they did to, not to mention, they took the whole Axon stamping time and everything out. And, cropped out the people in the neighborhood, everything. So it's, when I think about that part of being able to see it, whereas now, believe it or not, it was just last year. It's been 13 years, my son. That was last year, was the first time I rode down that street where he was killed. And it's been 13 years. Because it's like every time I get close to Kensington off Covington, I start hyperventilating because I'm like, that's my baby's last breath. So it's like all of those kind of things just kind of flood you in. But I actually rode through there, and and that's the crazy part, because now every time I go to get my chemo, I have to pass right by that. Pass by the police station and everything. And it's like, okay, I know I can go another way, this, that, and the other, but sometimes I'll be kind of running late going to my chemo and everything. But still, it's just the whole idea of how, the system itself clings together with their lies and just set it up. Because the other part I didn't share was there were 6 other families besides Javis that went before the grand jury hearing that day. Out of those 6 cases, it was 2 kids. It was Javis and another kid who he was killed on Columbia Drive near the high school. Yet when I kept inquiring of the family name and member, they didn't want me to know, because I was going to get in touch with them, because I'm like, at the end of the day, we need to be working together
exactly.
Because this ain't making no sense. A lot of this stuff ain't adding up. But the jury did indict the officer who killed Javis and this other kid as well. The other kid was 19. Javis had just turned 20. But at the end of the day, yeah, they working together. And then not only that, a lot of the local attorneys are bartering cases.
They are.
They bartering cases like I don't know what, because what really got me was one of the last attorneys I had before I had got the attorneys that I end up with that got me further than what I've been the whole time. That last attorney, it was the weekend that Michael Brown got killed, and he going up to the protest for Michael Brown, and I'm asking him what's going on with my case, and he tells me to call the office on Monday. He had his paralegal tell me that I would receive a letter. I received the letter, and the letter stated that he felt that my son's case was not feasible and that he wasn't going to pursue it. So he fired me, or my son case there as it is, whereas I had to end up getting somebody from out of town. Whereas with them working with the DA worked with the police department. The police department, as well as the attorney, when it comes to the local crimes and stuff, they are working together to get their best results. Whereas a lot of people, and I'm not saying that some people are insensitive when it comes to crimes outside of law enforcement, but it just bothers me when the first reaction is, well, he had to have done something for the officer to do what he did. And then in the midst of it, having to deal with that part of it, knowing that he didn't do anything, to warrant losing his life for. That's the part that, like I said, them colorful words start coming back out again, because I'm like, yeah. Because I mean, even when we went to the Judiciary Committee in DC, there's a mother here in Georgia. She's a part of every town. And she basically faced us in the committee meeting stating that she knows our pain. But at the end of the day, her son, the guy who killed her son, he's serving 25 years. So she got her justice to that degree. We got to deal with these officers lying, working with the prosecutor, working with the police department and everybody else. So at the end of the day, it's a beyond uphill battle. So it's like, mainly for me, I don't know, I just get, how would you say, my adrenaline get worked up, and that's why my passion is so locked into this body cam where they document everything.
They never did question our witnesses.
Huh?
They never questioned our witnesses. They never took our witnesses to the grand jury. I had nothing. They never, the victim's advocate never contacted me. I've never been in contact with the victim's advocate. They told me I'm not a victim, so they don't have rights to talk to me. They don't have to talk to me because I'm not a victim. I wasn't part of the plea deal that the two boys got. They got 90 days and 5 years probation. Jeez. That was the plea deal. They would not, nothing. And I'm supposed to settle for this? I'm not.
That's the stuff that make you mad.
It does. It makes you beyond mad. What's those colorful words?
Yeah. Yeah, real colorful.
Because my goodness, it's just the fact that you can take somebody's loved one, child, husband, whatever it is, and feel like you could just tell somebody they don't have no say so in any of the process, and then you expect us just to go along with what you give us. I don't understand how you in your mind can think that that's gonna work.
Then a judge, a family court judge, denied my grandbabies an EPO, IPO, because they're saying that my son was an aggressor, and that's why she did not. They shot up where they live. They had to move, and you denied them an EPO, IPO. It's crazy
And
work.
so for those that's listening, what is the EPO and what is the IPO?
It's protection, emergency protection order, immediate protection order.
Okay, so for those that are listening. All right, so we've talked all about the body camera footage. We kind of hit on dash cams and surveillance. I want to kind of jump because I know we talked a lot about the body camera, and I think that's good because a lot of people need to hear that. Let's talk a little bit about the autopsies. I know that's a difficult one, but that's another one that people have questions about. When you're reading your loved one autopsy, I know it's difficult, but were there any things in there that you felt was like I guess kind of scary, kind of questionable, kind of just anything questionable? I mean, because I have questions on Jalen's autopsy.
I never had intentions on getting his autopsy.
Oh wow!
And the reason I ended up getting it is because Hightower, that's his name, Sheriff Hightower, had called my husband went down to Hightower's office because of the judge denying the EPO, IPO. So Hightower talked him into coming down there to view the video. And when he got in there, he said, I want you to watch this video because your son is deranged, he's belligerent, he's high, he's drunk. That's not, my son do smoke weed, that he does. But drinking, he's not a drinker. He does drink, but he's not a drinker, not to be drunk. So when my husband told me that, I said, let me pull his toxicology and autopsy report. And that was the purpose of me pulling that. And when I pulled it, it confirmed that he just had cannabis. He was not drunk. And basically it was the fatal shot was to the back of the head.
So for me, for Jalen's autopsy, that was the first thing we got. We couldn't get any information about Jalen. So they wouldn't tell us how many times he got shot, where he got shot, or anything. So how I got Jalen's autopsy is we end up just going to Memphis. I said, I got to figure out what happened to my son. Ain't nobody telling me nothing. Me and my brother, sister-in-law, we just packed up, went to Memphis. And I did such a bad job when I went to try to get the police report. So I guess they must have known we was from out of towners, because I guess we didn't look, we didn't walk, we didn't have it all together. So y'all, I go in there, I'm, trying to be professional and trying to get my baby stuff. I don't know nothing about Memphis. I didn't know that, you really could just come as you are type. I could have just went in with pajamas and probably had better luck than what we got when we went to the police station to get the police report. So they tell us no police report, there's no incident report, there's nothing. There's nothing. So
What?
then you tell me, okay, I said, well, it's a homicide. I said, I'm showing in the picture. I'm like, this says a DOA. I know this is my son on this street. Like I've literally been trying to dig up what was going on. They say, ma'am, we'll let you talk to the homicide bureau. I mean, the homicide department, but that's pretty much it. So we waiting. So then they come out, they tell me, oh, well, somebody's gonna come and gonna call you. An investigator's is gonna call you. Then there's a lady that's questioning what happened to her son. She got gun violence. I look at my brother like, I think we're gonna have to get dirty. Like I'm looking at him like we gonna have to come up out these this suit and tie, like professional. Like we gonna have to get nasty up in here. Cause she begging for her son. They not telling us nothing. They gonna tell us we don't drove all the way out here and we're not gonna get nothing. Okay, bet. So here, this is where watching too much TV come in. So we get in the car and I'm like, okay, check. We went to this place. We're gonna go to the medical examiner's office. We're gonna go to the police station. We're gonna go to the place that embalmed, and we're gonna go everywhere. So we're at the autopsy of the medical examiner's office. I said, so I go in the bathroom. I have on this burgundy wig, y'all, and it's looking real rough. So I'm in there. I'm trying to fix it up. Now I'm putting on lashes. Now I'm trying to fit in with what's going on around me, because we clearly was too cute for the first spot. Okay, so I go in. I fix myself up. I'm cool. I don't change the way I talk. Now we just regular people now. Honey, she comes in. I get the autopsy. She hands it to me. I didn't sign for it. I didn't pay for it. She said, look and make sure this your son. I said, okay. She gave it to me, left out. I said, well, dog, we might need to go back to the police station, because we wasn't even supposed to get the autopsy. And definitely not where we had to not sign for it and all that stuff like that. God was on our side that day. He said, you're not coming out here for nothing. You're gonna get something. So we did get the autopsy. We didn't get too much from the embalming place, because he said that the funeral home had all of that information that we needed there. And so the funeral home was here in Georgia. So that was the easy task. But I was just so surprised that I had to get kind of ratchet for somebody to feel comfortable enough to hand me my baby's information. So I tell that story all the time because it blows me that I had to go and fix my wig and put on lashes to get my son's autopsy. But that's how I found out what happened to Jalen, and they gave me more questions. It seems like everything I get more questions.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like I'm looking at it like, okay, this doesn't make sense. I'm missing this. I'm like, because we got the toxicology report out of the autopsy, but there was no gunshot residue test. I said, but I see where they put bags on his hands. Where the gunshot residue test? So that didn't make no sense to me. Why was it not attached? Then we didn't even get a diagram. We didn't get the pictures. And then I was like, well, maybe we didn't get that because we got an unofficial. You know what I'm saying? She handed it to us. So I'm thinking maybe that's why we didn't have all that. So because Jalen was killed in another state, we weren't able to do the FOIA Act. We was not able to do the open records request because we were not residents of the state, of the city. So that was a very hard piece. We had to obtain an attorney and obtain it really fast because we were losing so much time. Because unfortunately, if you're not a resident, they don't have to give it to you.
Thankfully, my son had his own place of residence and we used his
And you
address
use his address. So that's so yeah. So for
because
if
we
you're
live in Indiana and this happened
and
in Kentucky.
you
In
could
Kentucky.
it's
Mm.
so unfortunate, but we did get an attorney. And then they got the same autopsy that we got. It still had all the missing information as well.
Yeah.
So
I can also say, far as the autopsy and everything, it wasn't until I spoke with the funeral home to find out that he was shot twice. I was
mm,
originally told by the police department he was shot once in the upper abdomen, and they just left it at that. But it was the funeral home who actually, he told me, he was like, no, he was shot twice. And I'm arguing with him, but I'm like, you handled the body, so you would know and everything. And the same with my son. The only thing that they found in his body was THC,
See,
which was
cannabis.
cannabis. And see, not only that, it was just 60 days before he was killed. It was the night of Obama running for the second term. And it was a hit. Somebody hit him and left him on the side of the road for dead. And
mm.
it was then that I still have him to this day based on my attorney. They told me to keep that with me for whenever I do go. He got a prescription of Vicodin and he got a prescription of Percocet, but he would always tell me, far as the pain he had, the weed was more comforting than those
Then the
heavy drugs.
pills.
He didn't like the way it made him felt. So
Mhm.
that's the reason why he had it in his system. But I too didn't find out until it was with the funeral home that he was shot twice instead of once.
That's what we found out that something was wrong with his leg. We knew that we knew he had got hit in the leg, but we
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how bad it was because we don't know how to read no autopsy where you talking
Yeah,
about a centimeter here and
yeah.
10 over there and to the left, and then this means this. So we actually
Mm-hmm.
I actually had to Google everything in Jalen's autopsy because I had no medical background. I didn't know what I was looking at, and I wanted to know exactly what happened, where he was hit, because nobody would tell us.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then I still have some questions still on top of that. And the only thing Jalen had in his system was marijuana too, so THC. So yeah, I they really need to legalize that. I go for legalizing it. All
Yeah.
right. So now let's move on to medical records and EMS reports. So were any EMS and hospital reports helpful?
Ty went from the crime scene, straight to the uh I said it earlier, um autopsy. So I don't
Mm,
have anything. That's all I have. Th- I don't think an ambulance even showed up.
mm,
With Javis, it showed up, but the mystery and the question was because my sister and my son met them at Grady, and the question was, why was he in two body bags?
mm.
He was in two body bags. So that raised questions for me as well as to what you're saying. So apparently they let him bleed out on the scene. Then they put him in one bag. And then once they got ready to take him, he was in the second bag. And see, the mystery to that is with the who you know, I had a dear friend who worked at the morgue at Grady that at that time, he's no longer there. It was him through from us being on the outside to check and see if he was in the morgue because they told us at the scene that they transported him to Grady, saying it because he had a traumatic injury. But at the end of the day, he was in two body bags. He was in a
Mm.
black one and a white one.
That's crazy.
Raised
See, I
more.
don't even know too much about that piece for Jalen. I don't think he went to the hospital. Um, I know that it took forever for them to even call 911 or paramedics for Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
because the second set of officers were the ones that actually made the call. So the first set of officers, the ones that chased them, gunned them down, and did all that, they never made a call for anything. They never called to say it was a traffic stop. And Jalen wasn't even a driver; he was a passenger. They never called for a traffic stop. They never said about the shootings, called like dispatch for the shootings. They didn't call for aid or ambulance or anything. They just literally, you see in the video, them just talking and walking around. Jalen's just laying on the ground, just dying out. And finally, when the second set come, then they start the aid and tell one of the officers to call 911. Well, call, dispatch it in. And so it took forever. I'm literally looking at the video. I'm like, well, dang, when the fire, when who gonna get there? You know what I'm saying? Because he just sitting there bleeding out. And so it took them forever to get there. Once they got there, they worked on him a little bit and he pretty much was gone. But I could tell because once my baby's hands was behind his head on the ground, and then you just see them fall to the floor. And then I'm just like, I knew then that was his last breath. So I don't think he ever made it. I think they took him on to the morgue or wherever they go, medical examiners, so she can do her thing. Yeah. And then it was rumors that they always take everybody to the hospital. And I was like, I don't know how true that is because I don't think I don't really think Jalen went to the hospital. So I guess it depends on maybe the state or I don't know how they determine
and then
if
again,
they actually take you or not.
That may have been the case too, because the medical examiner office was exactly 0.2 from the actual place where because he was at Kensington Memorial, and as soon as you turn that corner, the medical examiner's office is right there.
So that's probably. Yeah,
they probably took him straight over there.
Straight on to the and that may be why he was in another bag because they had identified they probably have their own color or something like that, so they can identify maybe
to that extent. So that's probably why.
Yeah, that may be. That's something we should look into because I don't know how many other people may have questions about that when it comes to EMSs and medical examiners because that's kind of sticky. It happens so fast. Once they get on the scene, they take them. They out. It's not really a long process until they start with the whole autopsy part and breaking them down and figuring out what happened to them and all that good stuff. Lord Jesus. But okay. So y'all want to leave anything else on EMS and medical reports? Let me see. Let's see. I think that's pretty much the only question that I feel like is really important there.
I want to add too, far as anybody else that's actually dealing with a situation like all of us, is that though you go on to request an autopsy, make sure you, for personal reasons, that's what I've come to realize from working with LDF out of Brooklyn, is always request a 5-year medical report of your loved one. Because when asking for that, they can do whatever they want to alter the body to make it appear to be something totally different than what it really is. So normally when I communicate with some families that I knew freshly just dealing with situations like that, I would always ask them to get a 5-year medical report of their loved one, because one minute they come back and they had a heart condition. One minute they come back, they got sickle cell. One minute they got this and they ain't never had it a day in their life. So with that being said, that would be your regards or your safeguard to protect you when it comes to this, because at the end of the day, we fighting a really big monster, and they
we are
together with their lies, manipulation, and everything. The whole
was the FBI ever involved in either of your son's cases? FBI or?
Well, it was to a degree for me. Out of DC, I was referred. No, Department of Justice was.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Department
FBI
of Justice was mine, and she actually was interested in it. Not only was her, because at the time that my son was killed, Sally Yates was taking Eric, I can't think of his last name. He was the attorney general for the federal, and she came to Ebenezer, and my son got angry. He said, "Y'all sitting up here talking about these people accolades or what college they went to. My brother was murdered in broad daylight." And so at the time, she was at the actual event, and so then that's when she had her security guys come and get my son, and then she had us to send her a PDF file. But she was then later removed out of that. Now, outside of her, the Department of Justice, there was a Patel, and it was another person, a family out of Ohio. She referred me to the Department of Justice representative that she had. She went through Javis' case and everything, and she was told when she tried to connect with them that she had to be invited in, and they told her they did not need her services. And this is the Department of Justice.
Yeah, everybody's referred me back. DOJ, the district, the governor, everybody has referred me back to the Commonwealth Attorney.
Yeah, they're saying that they have to be invited to be a part of the investigation. But
The
she was
FBI,
really in
the
it.
Kentucky State Police, the Bowling Green Police,
Yep.
and just referred me back.
Yeah, so DOJ looked into, we went to a couple of their things because they were looking into Memphis police at the time. And this was Tyree Nichols and some other cases that they had looked at. And I spoke to them, but it didn't go anywhere. Yeah.
I'm working. I have 5 other mothers, and we're all in Kentucky. And we're dealing with the same difference. Same difference. Some cannot get, their work for their paperwork for their child. Some we're stand your ground, self-defense. One mother's child was murdered in the jail. It's crazy work. My nephew, same jurisdiction. It's crazy work in Kentucky.
It's crazy.
I think it's everywhere. I don't care, because I live in Georgia and Jalen's case is in Tennessee, and I see the same exact thing that happens in both. When it comes to the police, it's the same exact game.
And we're all, trying to get justice for our kids.
And
we
it's
can't
so
we can't
sad.
even grieve for trying to get justice for our baby.
Okay, so I'm kind of skip around because I know it's getting late, but I feel like the chain of custody is a good question. So before your case, had you ever heard of chain of custody? What is documented? Who handled the evidence? And what were your concerns about the evidence handling? So pretty much when it first happened, what was the chain of command? Because a lot of people don't understand the different positions and how it goes to this hand, to that hand, who does what, and then how was the evidence handled?
For me, it was the GBI who explained the process to me, because it was him who said that anytime there's a police involved shooting, the GBI automatically takes over the case and do their investigation, not only supposedly with the victim, but also the officer as well. So again, with me, it was that agent that basically told me that he suggested that I get all 3 investigations. So in most cases, they're not going to tell you to do that. But, a lot of people complain that GBI didn't do anything for them, but I have to give them 10 points up for that one, because he basically insisted. He said, being that you the mother and the guardian, I insist that you get all 3 investigative, because you're entitled to it. You is his guardian, you is his mother. So if it wasn't for him insisting, far as the chain of command of the process of the body, because it went to him first and then it went to the DA, because they took it from the police department, which was Avondale Estate. GBI had it, they did their investigation, and then the prosecutor did his investigation. And then from there, that's what we had to wait those 28 months.
For me, in the state of Kentucky, the sheriff handled it. Once it left the sheriff, then it went to the detective. Then the detective hands the case off to the Commonwealth attorney. And like I said, it's once she sent it to the grand jury with the temporary physical evidence, then that's when I had to go and see, okay, well, what about the DOJ? What about the FBI? What about the ATF? Because of the artillery that was used. And we were told that the FBI and the ATF would be involved. One, because they crossed Tennessee state line, come to Kentucky, and the artillery that they used. None of that.
So for Jalen has one of those really complex cases. It initially started off, of course, we got the call and it was from the investigator. Once we were talking to the investigator, which we barely talked to, we did have a lady give us a call that works with victims. She served absolutely no purpose. I spoke to her one time and thought that that was really gonna I had really high hopes, thinking that she was gonna do something. I had to start chasing her down, and then I just left that alone, because I mean, at this point, I can go get counseling through my job. I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. At this point, me chasing you, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my son's case, and you're not telling me what's happening. You can't tell me what's going on. I don't even need to waste my time with you. So that was a waste for me personally. And I would say that for police brutality cases, when they try to send you someone that's with the victims, what is it? Victims victims advocate. Don't even waste your time. Usually those are good for like gun violence, domestic violence, and things like that.
They didn't even help me. She was more worried about what I put on social media is what she was.
But see, your case is a little bit complex because you got like two different dynamics going on. So no, it definitely wouldn't have been good for you either. But like domestic violence cases and things like that, I would say those are good for that, because a lot of times the state can give you guys money and resources, but they will not do that for they will not do that for police brutality cases.
They did do that. Well, it took me to go through the process of when it first went through the investigation with the DA. They denied me, but at the time I reapplied again, and after the jury had indicted him, that's when they did.
Okay, so so again, you guys, it really is not going to count because many of us are not getting indictments. Like, let's just keep it real. So let me reword that. So yes, the officer has to be charged for you to be able to get those type of resources. We know that there's only 1% of officers in police brutality cases that are getting charged, so it would be very few of you all. But if you can get it. But a lot for us, it's like pulling teeth, and right now we wouldn't have got it anyway. So then when we left from there, we never spoke to the DA. We never got a chance to speak to the chief of police or any of those people. We went straight to, who did we talk to? Well, we really haven't done anything. Our attorneys have done everything because nobody wanted to talk to us. We had one attorney that actually dropped us because Memphis wouldn't give him any documents. Like, they just said it's nothing that we can do because Memphis won't hand over the paperwork. And I'm like, I'm not understanding what you mean you can't do nothing when they say the investigation is over and I'm
Open.
supposed to be able to get the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so do something. Do what the lawyers do, right? That's what I really do. And so we end up getting another attorney on board or whatever, and we've been having pretty good luck with him. And so then we had the police union get mad at the DA and told the DA, you talking too much, you telling too much of Jalen's story. And I was just like, this is some, what in the world,
Yeah,
Jalen, did you
yeah.
get me into? Because that's what I say every night. And I was like, Jalen, you really had to go to Memphis to see them people. You could just stay at home. Because
Right.
I would not be dealing with this. So we have been in and we've been in a lot of hands, in a whole lot of different hands. So it's really important to know who called you on your case, who's working your case, because a lot of times they transfer hands very fast and they will not tell you when it goes to somebody else. So you
Mm-hmm.
may want to do the due diligence of keep checking in. Just because you don't hear from them and you think they working,
Mm-hmm.
it could be that they're working on another case and not yours. So
That
you
is.
may want to keep checking periodically. Just get on their nerves till the people know you by name. Because we have to remember that it's not just our case that they are working. They are working lots of cases.
True.
And
And
we
I'm pretty
know that
sure
our
people know this, but
yeah,
just in case you don't, document
Yeah, that's what I was about
your
to say.
call. Yes.
Yeah, make
everything.
a copy
That's
of
it.
Make
That's
sure
everything
it.
you get their
That's
because you
it.
name,
don't know.
make sure where you talked to them, make
Yep.
sure what time
Mm-hmm.
it was,
The
make sure if
day,
it was
all of it.
raining, if
Yep.
it was snowing,
Yep.
Yeah.
because evidence will come up missing.
Yep.
Yes.
That's why I said
Document I mean,
bring
from
your
the
own
Everything.
copies of
day one, everything you can think of, document it. And because it's better to have more information than to not have enough
That
information.
information.
So
it.
document all the things you can think of. It could be a text message or somebody saying hello. It could be a person down the street that said, "Hey, yeah, I saw him. It was 12 o'clock when this happened." Or it could be They said, "Well, it was a delivery man on Pizza Hut, and he rolled past the house." You don't
Mm-hmm.
know that it may be a camera that's on his car that may can give you information about your case.
Mhm.
So no information is bad information. No information, really not enough information is actually bad.
But
Yeah. So you kind of want to capture everything you can get. Nothing is
Mm-hmm.
not important. Nothing is not important. And a lot of times dealing with the system, they tamper with evidence too.
Yep.
So they may say in this statement, they may say this person had this on, but then 6 months later, because they forgot what they said because they already were lying. They come
Mm-hmm.
back and they say something else on the next statement that's gonna be different. So a lot of times pay attention to those statements because a lot of times they don't add up.
Mm-mm.
Let me see. We pretty much talked about organizing evidence. Okay, so advice to families. We're gonna jump to this and then we finna get up out of here because we done been on here 2 hours. And I know we almost 2 hours. Okay, what is the biggest mistake families can make after a tragedy?
giving up,
Giving up.
Yeah.
giving
Yeah.
up. So many families have contacted me and they are exhausted due to the system that they're dealing with. Don't
Mm-hmm.
give up. I have so many people that tell me it's consuming you. It is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, me
is.
too.
I'm tired, but
Yeah,
that's my
Mm-hmm.
baby.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
That's my baby. And I'm going to fight to my last breath. I take breaks. I take a mental break and I get back
Mm-hmm.
out there with boots on the ground. Don't give up.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. What do you wish someone would have told you during your first week?
Wow.
I don't know because I was out of my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
I, mm,
okay, so I'll go then. I wish somebody would have forced me to come on straight to Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
I that's one of my biggest regrets. Because I took the notes. I wrote everything down. I screenshot everything. And that came from just remembering what I remember from when I was in school, you know. So a lot of things I did do because I remembered it. But I wish that I would have not say, okay, well, they say don't come down now. We gotta wait till Friday. That little, you know what I'm saying? The little blonde head thing. I really had it at that moment. And I guess because I was just still in shock. So I'm hoping and wishing that what you telling me is true, that everything is, you know, that the system is gonna do what it's supposed to
Yeah.
do. And unfortunately it does not work like that. So I wish I would have came on down. I wish, I would say, I'm not gonna say wish because I'm glad I was told. I'm glad that I had DO, and this was DOJ, to tell me, make sure you are paying attention to the statutes so you know when it runs out. So, meaning that some states have 2 years to file for a civil, some states have 1 year, some states have three. Majority of them have two. Memphis has one. In 1 year, you can't get nothing. You barely getting something in 2 years.
Yeah.
In 1 year, you're not getting anything. So
Mm.
what I would say to families, um, if you can't find an attorney, go pro se. That's what we did for Jalen. We went pro se, which borrowed it stopped the clock. So you got to learn how to play that game. It stopped the clock and it borrowed us time to find an attorney without the time running out on us. Because we was literally probably, I think, 2 weeks before the statute was up. And I went on and ran and wrote a pro se and got it filed, and we were good to go. And we've been good ever
Okay.
since.
I want to add too, when it comes to the documentation side of it, it was a juvenile court judge that I used to do volunteer work for. She had a Save Our Student Academy. Her name was Judge Ruby Thomas. And what she told me a month after Javis was killed, because she knew him as well, and she told me what I needed to do was to sit in front of a video camera and remember as much as I can and put it on that video camera. That way, when they come back and say one thing and it's not what you initially was told, you will have that video documentation to show that. And then she
Wow.
said, not only
Yes.
do that, she said, write down everything that you said on that video tape as well, and keep that close to you. Don't keep it on a system where somebody can hack in it or whatever. But she specifically told me to get in front of a video camera and record everything that I know from memory. And from me doing that, and then turn around and write it in a journal and keep it particularly from what all you were told from the moment that you were told your son was dead until it comes to interacting with the GBI, whoever you're dealing with. But she told me in each phase, always videotape yourself and then go through it every so often so that you won't misspoke, misquote, miss anything. But that was one of the things that I appreciate her telling me to do.
That's a good. That's a great idea.
I
I
did
never
do
thought
that.
about video.
I did.
Okay.
I did do that.
Yep, she said record it.
That's what's up. Okay. The next question is, how do you balance fighting for justice while protecting your mental health? Mm.
Wow.
All right. Well, I'll tell y'all, I am probably a little off.
Mm.
Um, Me, how I balance, I think at this point, my balance is work. I
Yeah.
think that if I don't work, I will be probably off balance. Which
Mm.
seems so, it seems weird. But when you do it for so long, like it has become your everyday life. If I don't do it, then I feel like something's wrong. When I'm working, I feel like I'm at peace, like I'm finding my balance, and it's becoming a part of my everyday life.
Mhm.
Now I do sometimes will jump off of social media and let my partner, Bakelvia Holmes, Eric Holmes' mom, she'll be like, she okay, she all right, because I'll go missing for a little bit because I need a break. Because social media can be, it can be very, very hard to deal with as you're coping, especially when your child is one that they say shot at the officer. So you're reading what people, the comments, and you're learning how to defend yourself as a mother, as a parent, as a black person, as a young mother, all these different stereotypes that they throw at us. So for me, I would have to get away. Now I realize that I've got much better with social media, because with my nephew who just passed, I'm looking at some of the comments and I'm able to articulate and answer the questions, or give comments that won't be like, add them colorful words that I'll probably
Mhm.
started out with Jalen. I'm learning how to not allow it to bother me, and and understand that people are opinionated and people can say what they want to say. And then once
Respectfully.
they're honestly, they're gonna say what people, listen, they're gonna say what they want to say. They
Yeah.
are. They're going to say it, and you're going to have some nice people that say it. You're going to have some rude people that say it. If you don't have the stomach for it, and it's going to make you upset, take a break, or let someone else read it, or just don't worry about it,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because they are going to say, I have been called every name in the book. I have been told I killed my own son. I have been told, I mean, just some of the worst things that you can think, that you can tell anybody, especially a grieving mother. Now
Mhm.
you come and tell me, I may send you an emoji laughing if I don't throw my middle finger up first. So I've kind of learned how to deal with it a little bit, just a little bit.
I have my grandkids and I have my husband and I have my closest family
Mm. For
that
me, it
helps
was,
me. They come check on me, make sure that my mental is good.
It's
I
good.
agree with you, Ashley, when you said come to working, because after Javis had passed, I was actually in the medical field, but then I switched over. And so I ended up going to FedEx. And for
Mhm.
that, it kind of kept me busy, that I wasn't looping in my mind. I should have did this,
Exactly.
should have did that, and,
Exactly.
or I should have did that. And it
Yeah.
kept me
Yeah.
so busy. But now later in the years, because I'm approaching my 10th year at FedEx out of the 13 years since he's been gone, and now I realize a lot of the stuff I internalize, and it's causing me to have the illnesses that I have now and that I'm basically dealing with. By the grace of God, I'm still here and I'm still
Amen.
fighting, because I'm going to fight until it's my
Mhm.
last breath. Far
Mhm.
as with me working with that, with the body cams and everything, that's like my, I wouldn't say restitution, but again, I still want to go after the people at the end of the day, but it's my way of preventing it to happen to somebody else's kid,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
prevent it from, going any further. Because with the times that we are in now,
Mhm.
we, as I said before, we climbing Mount Everest when it comes to going against this justice system, because
We
they all
are.
moved in
We are.
together, and that's basically it. So again, I just feel like I internalize. That's why when what you were saying earlier, Ashley, is everything in me to come and help and do stuff, and I'm moving and that kind of thing, that I'm not really focusing in on it. I have my moments just like everybody else, but long as I'm busy, I'm okay. And
Yeah. That's me.
since I had my transplant, I was ordered to stay isolated for 100 days where I couldn't come in contact
Woo.
with each other. So I was about to go crazy.
I know you
But
were.
I mean, I didn't really get released
Oh
from
my
that
goodness.
isolation until June. And it's like, oh my goodness. So it's like now it's in reverse, because it's like now when I go somewhere, I'm ready to come back and shut the door. Because
Yeah,
I
because
had
you've
got
been
those,
gone for so long.
yeah,
Right for so,
for
yeah,
100
yeah.
days. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a long time. Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, so I have one more question. What gives you hope?
Just
For me to
knowing
feel,
just knowing that I'm out there fighting not only for my son but for other mothers.
yeah.
Um I don't know. It's only God that gives me the strength.
Yes.
Because some mothers, um they don't know where they get it from, and it feels good for them to contact me and say thank you.
Yeah, 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 it does. It does.
Mhm.
It does. What about you, Monty?
I would say the same, but through these 13 years, there are some that I have to take a step back. And that's what put me in my isolation the way that it does. That it's now I'm in a space where I appreciate my isolation because all you can do is offer the information and it's totally up to them to receive it. And then there are some that when I offer information, they take it that I'm being in control. I'm not being in control. I'm just trying to do whatever I can to help
To
you
help
in
you.
your
Hmm.
situation. So,
Hmm.
it's up to you
Hmm.
whether or not you take it because you just as grown as I am. So, that's
Hmm.
with that part of it. But I
Hmm.
am appreciative of the thank yous too, as well. It does mean a lot where, to have those ones that would say, you've been with me from day one, vice versa as well. So I
Okay.
appreciate that.
So if you could speak to every family who's lost one, has been impacted by police violence or gun violence, what message would you want them to hear tonight? What is your last message that you want to leave to anybody? It could be a family that's in domestic violence, it could be whoever.
I
Don't
would try
give
to
up.
meet them where they at. Meet them where they're at. Receive the information as well, or what they're willing to share with me, and then from that point on, let them be somewhat giving, but also, you know, same as what we're doing right now, giving out information to assist them along the way as to what can make it a lot easier for them as well. But that would be my approach as to meeting them where they're at.
Okay.
Yes. Don't give
Tabitha.
up. Stand the fight. Um, your grief is not my grief. And our grief is the same difference. I had a mother to come to me and said, who lost her baby due to SIDS. And she says, but I know that yours is, I feel for you. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. We're still mothers at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
We,
Mm-hmm.
you lost yours to SID. I lost mine to gun violence. We still lost our baby. We're still in this fight together.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
So we one of our slogans for Saturday Night Monuments is every name, every story, never forgotten. What does that phrase mean to each of you, and what legacy do you hope your loved one's story leaves for future generations?
Tyreek was a loving, caring, happy. He loved he loved everybody. He loved giving hugs. He loved giving back. And he does have a foundation. We started a foundation in his name. It's called Hugs My Time. And I can't wait to get back to that purpose. But right now, I have to get him justice.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. I
Justice for
would,
Tyreek.
Justice
uh,
for Tyreek.
I would say the same for Javis as well. He was a fun loving. He loved his kids. He worked with at the boys club. That was his passion and everything. And that he was just that kid that had 3 jobs while going to school as well. And that he was nothing like what the false narratives put out there. And at the end of the day, it's just that he was a bright and brilliant person that had a promising future that was snubbed out by police violence, brutality in that sense.
So I would say for Jalen, well, of course, Saturday Night Monuments came from Jalen. Um, but now that our family has been kind of impacted by police violence, gun violence, suicide, overdose, it I kind of get pulled like which one is more important because one is not more important than the other. But I would say that my first passion, of course, would be police violence because that has what has really traumatized me. That's what took my son, my only child. So that's where Say Their Names Monument started from before we start branching into all the other systematic justice. So I probably would say for Jalen, I would like to do more things that he loves. That's why when we do Say Their Name Monuments, we do a lot of, we're mostly art installations
Yeah.
and things dealing with that is because Jalen was really into art and music. So I feel like through Say Their Name Monuments, we kind of keeping some type of a legacy or creating a legacy for Jalen. I would like to see it expand to something bigger, to even maybe a music studio, performing arts studio for kids to go to that would be free, because those are the things he liked, and those are the things that a lot of kids like. So they're into social media with the content creator. We can do a whole little studio for content creator, and it don't cost the kids anything. So that's something I would want to leave back for Jalen as a legacy. All right, ladies. So we're getting ready to wrap this up. So
Yeah.
as we close tonight, I want to thank everyone, and I want everybody to remember you do not have to understand every legal or scientific term overnight. Okay. Start by
True.
asking questions, documenting what you were told, preserving what you have, and organizing the information one step at a time. Evidence tells a story. Every video, report, photo, medical record, witness statement, what else? Timestamp, because we talked about the body camera footage. So timestamps, piece of physical evidence may help reveal what happened. Families deserve accurate information. Families deserve transparency.
Yes.
Families deserve to have their questions taken seriously. Say Their Name Monuments is this to honor those lives who have been lost, and we want to remember them forever because we know that your lives have changed. We know that the families need support. We don't want to leave any family behind. We want to equip every community with knowledge and practical resources. So thank you for trusting us with your stories and allowing us to stand beside you, behind you, wherever you need us. We'll always be there. So please subscribe on YouTube, Say Their Name Monuments. Follow us on Facebook, Say Their Name Monuments. And our message is every name, every story, never forgotten. Continue to honor, continue to remember, continue to fight, continue to create change. Good night,
Good night.
everyone. Okay, so let's hang that up. Okay, you guys can go ahead and go off, I guess.